Today's ceremony will be a little different than it has been in the past, but it's going to happen just like Ralph would have wanted it to. For those of you who may or may not know Ralph, Ralph has been the MC, the person who ran the ceremony from the start to finish in the years past. Ralph is unable to be here today due to some health issues. So after the ceremony is over, we will have a banner over on a table over there. I would ask everybody to sign the banner, and we're going to give them a banner and a DVD of today's ceremony. We're going to have it delivered to them in the next day or two. A little background about Ralph. Ralph started working on his well-oiled machine in October for the next year. For those of you who don't know Ralph, every year this is the last ceremony he's going to do. Well, Ralph, you owe me one. We will see you next year. I was able to get the programs from Ralph, Ralph's book, as he calls it, the Bible, and all the contacts Ralph had made for this year's ceremony. I contacted everyone, explained the situation, and says, we always say, we will never forget, so the show must go on. No book, Gordy. At this point, we had everything except Ralph to run the show. The ceremony isn't about giving a few politicians a microphone and letting them tell you how good they are. It's about heroes. As I was sitting with my fire chief trying to figure out what we were going to do, Chief Gordon Nord Jr. called from the Lions Fire Department and said, guys, if there's anything I can do to please let me know. I will be there. I will help. I looked at the chief and I said, let's see if Gordy will be the MC of the ceremony. Without hesitation, Chief Nord said yes. That is true brotherhood, Chief Nord. Chief Nord, thank you for standing in and doing this. Chief Nord has 45 years of service with the Lions Fire Department and has been the chief for the last 26 years. Chief Nord, you are a true hero and a friend. You could have easily said no. Thank you. Can I have a round of applause for Chief Nord before the ceremony starts? At this time, I'm going to have Director Matt Buckley from the Riverside to come up in the podium and get the program started. Thank you. You hit the bell.
The villages of McCook, Riverside, Willow Springs, Forest View, and Lyons welcome you to the 2022 Celebration of Heroes. We ask that all cell phones be turned off or silenced for the ceremony. At this time, please stand for the Chicago Pipes and Drums.
Good morning and welcome to the Village of McCook for our annual 9/11 Remembrance Celebration. It is truly an honor to be here today to be part of this celebration. On behalf of Fire Chief David Delesh and the McCook Fire Department, Director Matt Buckley, the Riverside Fire Department, Chief Mark Jones, who just went out on a call in the Forest View Fire Department. Welcome and thank you for attending and having such an outstanding show of support today on a day where you probably had to take a boat to get here. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge some very special people of whom, without their support, this event would not be possible. McCook Mayor Terry Carr, Riverside Village President Joseph Bellarine, Willow Springs Village President Melissa Niedermeyer, Forest View Mayor Nancy Miller, and Lyons Mayor Christopher Getty. A very special thank you goes out to Chief Svedich of the McCook Police Department and his officers that are here, as well as the other officers from surrounding communities that are here. Lastly, we have a very special guest today, the mother of one of our 2021 honorees, Mrs. Elizabeth French, who is here with us today, to honor her daughter, Ella Grace French. Welcome, thank you for being here. We are honored to welcome back the pipe and drum folks from the Chicago Police Department and Fire Department. Throughout the year, they attend many different events. These are a dedicated group of individuals who just do a fantastic job. Thank you for being here. Founded in 1999, the Police Department Pipe and Drum are one of the few pipe bands in the country whose membership is made up only of their rank and file. The Chicago Fire Department also follows suit, and like I said, they do an outstanding job. Well, let's give them a round of applause, huh? The pipe and drummers bring to us today a long-standing tradition in this country dating back to the mid-1800s, when the potato famine in Ireland drove thousands to this country to seek jobs. The only ones that could acquire were the ones that nobody wanted, the dangerous jobs of the fire and police departments. When the original immigrants began dying off, the only funeral tradition that they knew was that they brought back from the home country was the playing of the bagpipes. We are proud and very grateful to have you here today and are grateful for your participation once again in this event. Will you all please stand and give a round of applause to these outstanding individuals, the Chicago Police and Fire Department Pipe and Drums. Thank you very much. This applause well deserved. On December 18, 2001, by a joint resolution of Congress, Public Law 107-89 authorized and requested the President to designate September 11th of each year as Patriots' Day. With this resolution, President George W. Bush called upon the people of the United States to observe the day with appropriate ceremonies, including remembrances, services, and candlelight vigils. Today we honor heroes. Each year for the past 21 years, many have gathered in many places on this day to remember, to honor, and to keep the promise made that we will never forget. A big event in New York City before the pandemic hit, and now resurrected after 2 years, is the St. Patrick's Day Parade. Always following the largest contingent of FDNY pipes and drums in the parade are 343 members of the New York Fire Department, representing the 343 firefighters killed that day. At dusk, at the Firefighter Memorial, FDNY members will gather to play for their fallen brothers. They remember and they will never forget. The people of New York are not forgetting anytime soon, which is obvious with the ceremonies that go on every year. In fact, we're all present here today so that we never forget. This event is a celebration of heroes. We are not here to mourn. We are here to renew, remember, and to pay tribute to and never forget. We celebrate these people not because they died, but for how they lived their life so bravely. Each year we talk about how we must never forget and how we must continue to pass this on. Starting 16 years ago, the purpose was to make sure that we never forgot those who we lost. As I look in the crowd, I see many familiar faces, uniformed police, firefighters, and also civilians. Thank you for your participation and for not forgetting. 343 firefighters, 37 Port Authority police officers, and 23 New York City police officers lost their life that day. Those numbers do not include the 287 New York City first responders or the first responders that came in from around the country to help at Ground Zero that have died from the illnesses that they contribute to the dust at the location of Ground Zero. 68 forms of cancer have been identified: blood and lymphoid tissue, breast, digestive system, prostate, to name a few. It has been said that cancer will be the lasting legacy of 9/11. We owe these people, many of whom knew that they'd never see their families again, a huge guarantee that their courage and their example will always be remembered. More importantly, we need to make sure that the young people currently in public safety and those that follow them are made aware of the enormous responsibility that is placed upon their shoulders, that they must accept the torch that is being passed on to them and ensure that they will pass it on. The heroes of 9/11 must never be forgotten. We ask you now to assist in honoring these people with a round of applause to the heroes of 911, forever in our hearts, always in our inspiration. I've attended, I think, all 16 of the ceremonies that were held when it started in North Riverside, moved to Riverside, and then to McCook. And today we have a very special guest. We are honored to have with us Gary McCarthy, the recently appointed chief in Willow Springs. Gary comes to us. He joined the New York Police Department in 1981 at the age of 22. He rose through the ranks and became Deputy Commissioner of Operations in 2000. McCarthy was in the middle of Ground Zero during the September 11th attacks, working closely with then Mayor Rudy Giuliani to operate an emergency response command post. While with the New York Police Department, he held a variety of positions around the city, served as a commander of several different precincts, and eventually was in charge of the New York Police Department's CompStat program. Chief McCarthy also served proudly with the Newark and Chicago Police Departments. It's my honor to welcome Chief Gary McCarthy to the podium for a keynote speech.
For the record, this is my son, Kieran Connor McCarthy, not my grandson. People ask me that all the time. I married a much younger woman the second time around, and gentlemen, I warn you, the biological clock thing is real, okay? So you mentioned the Irish, Kieran Connor McCarthy. How about that? Sounds a little Irish, but he's only a quarter, so. Anyway, buddy, stay here for 1 second. So, I thank you for that wonderful introduction, and thank you for having me here. This is very difficult. So I got to Ground Zero right as the second plane hit the South Tower. Damn it. And picture being Deputy Commissioner of the NYPD and hearing a radio transmission that says, notify the military, we need air cover. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. And that's where it really started for me. What I was able to do was we put together a command post, which I thought was far enough away from the towers. I was wrong. When the South Tower fell first, it fell on top of the building that we were in. So some people might enjoy this, but I almost got Rudy Giuliani killed that day. Quite frankly, he was unbelievable, his leadership post 9/11, I could tell you that. But I found a way to get out. And Joe Esposito was my right-hand guy. He was the chief of department. I was the deputy commissioner. I had policy. He had operations. And I said, Joe, I got a way out of here. And he says to me, hold on, Gary. He says, are we better off outside or inside? And I said, oh, I don't know, Joe. I don't know, but we got to get outside and take charge. He says, okay. He says, but first, we got to go in and make sure we're not leaving anybody behind. And I'm like, but damn it. All right, Joe, let's go. We went in, and actually, we did find some people who were trapped inside the building that we were in. A couple of things that I'll always remember. There's a lot of things I never will remember, and that's probably okay. There's definitely gaps in my memory from that day. But when that South Tower fell, the mayor was about as far away as that bell from me talking to the vice president. And we didn't know what the noise was. We didn't know what it was, but it sounded like he was sitting next to a freight train. It was like chunk, 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 chunk. Everything filled up with smoke and debris. And it turns out those were the floors falling, each one consecutively on top of the next. We knew that all the planes had been grounded in the country, and we got separated from the mayor and the police commissioner. The first deputy commissioner, we also, he was on crutches. We threw him into it reminded me of one of the old West movies. We found a canine van, and Joe Dunn is a big, strapping, 6'4", 250-pound man, very proud. But he was on crutches because he had torn his Achilles tendon during the 4th of July barbecue. And we kind of threw him into this van, and here's the proud first deputy commissioner of the New York City Police Department, sitting on a canine cage. And it was kind of like the Old West, where we threw him over a horse and hit the horse in the butt and said, "Yeah," and we sent him off. Well, Joe Esposito and I get to City Hall Park. We're like, where are we going to go? Where are we going to start? Because we had no communications. When the North Tower fell, which, by the way, we got out in time to get caught in that collapse. We got out of the first collapse and got caught in the second one. When that tower fell, we lost the radio antenna that was on the roof, and we had no communications. So we don't know where we're going to start. We decide we're going to go to City Hall Park because it's only about 3 blocks away from the World Trade Center, and we're trying to figure out what's going to come next. Are people going to come up out of the subways with machine guns? Are they going to throw hand grenades? At first, it sounded like explosions from inside that building that I was in. And Joe and I are talking. We go to City Hall Park. We're going to bring in a communications truck, and we're going to bring in our SWAT guys and kind of set up a military perimeter because we don't know what's going on. And right about that time, we hear planes. And in a nanosecond, 3 thoughts. First of all, oh my God, more incoming. Then I look up and I saw in between the buildings 2 F-16s flying wingtip to wingtip up the Hudson River, and I was like, thank God they're ours. To, oh my God, the military has protected New York City. What a thought. Well, eventually, Joe Dunn got back to police headquarters and ordered Joe Esposito and myself back there. And, you know, I'm leaving so much out from that day. But what people don't realize is that was the easy part. When you're focused, when you have a tragic event, when you're working like that, people say, you must have been scared. I was like, I was scared 2 weeks later when I realized what happened. But during that moment, you're just doing what you do. The days afterwards were worse because we're recovering our friends' bodies, body parts, dealing with the families. We lost 23 police officers that day. Obviously, the fire department took the worst hit, but we lost 23 police officers that day. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon on September 11th, we knew that we had lost 22 because they were on duty. There was a 23rd who actually was retiring, a guy named Perry, was at police headquarters retiring, ran to the scene and was escorting people out as he retired, and he died that day also. Then came the funerals. First came the memorial services because we weren't recovering bodies. So the memorial services came, and then through DNA we would identify something, and now we had a funeral. And it went on for weeks and months afterwards. But we had so much support. It was unbelievable. And that's what's changed today. And forgive me, but everybody loves a fireman. Everybody loves a fireman. But today, what has happened to this world where we were heroes before? and now we get castigated for doing our jobs. I'm so happy. Mayor, thank you. I'm in Willow Springs, and it's different. People respect the police. They like us. But that's not the case across the country. And that's what has changed in this country. Things always change, right? But how did we get so polarized? We were so united, so united. That's my message. We're never going to forget. Hopefully, I'm never going to remember those times that I kind of got blocked out. But at the end of the day, we got to get back to where we were. This is not working. It's time to declare failure and realize that castigating law enforcement is not making people safer. Pretty simple concept for me. Well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm glad I was able to keep it together for the most part. Thank you, Mayor Nettemeyer, for having me in Willow Springs. I couldn't be happier. And Kiernan says thank you also.
After everyone heard Gary, they turned the mic off so they couldn't hear me. What an outstanding speech from the heart. I mean, you lived it. God bless. Tough times for everyone. And you're right. We need to be united. And we need to stand together and get things back on track. I always knew I liked you, even though I never met you. But I did see you at a Hawks game once. I was sitting like 10 rows behind you off to the side. So, Hawk fan or a hockey fan, you're good by me. Let's continue. One thing that became apparent with 9/11 was the resiliency of the American spirit. We all came together and showed Osama bin Laden and his pals that you just do not poke the sleeping bear. The payback came courtesy of Navy SEAL Team 6 on May 2nd, 2011. In early 2020, COVID-19 struck. Huge strains were placed on the shoulders of the country's first responders. Police officers, firefighters, paramedics died from this virus that we knew very little about. We'd be negligent if we did not also mention and recognize the doctors and nurses and other medical personnel that stepped up and worked to the point of exhaustion to fight this virus. Once again, the resiliency of the American spirit stood up and stood strong. None of them ask for anything in return, they never do. And that is why we have always felt from the very beginning that this part of the program was important and should be included. While these heroes chose to serve in their professions, they've been tested way beyond their limits and came back for more. They don't look at themselves as heroes, these first responders. It has been said that one becomes a hero the day the badge is pinned on his chest, and everything after that is just part of the job. I think most people here in uniform will say everything we do is part of the job. I need to point out that at this point that a hero is not born, a hero doesn't go to hero training school, a hero is not on the curriculum of any police or fire academy that we know of. A person becomes a hero in that space of time between tick and tock, where the decision must be made to face danger for one moment longer. We have stood shoulder to shoulder with Chicago police officers and firefighters at the medical examiner's office, gathered to pay respect to yet another fallen hero taken too soon. And one thing was clear while standing there. Everyone knew that the next day the brothers and sisters were going to be put on that uniform, go to work, and continue to respond as usual. That is how we honor the ones that we lost. We come together and we grieve, and then we vow to carry on in the memory of that person, duty without question. We talk a lot about brotherhood. I stand up here every year on this day and I look up and always see the police officers, firefighters present standing together in what appears to be a sea of blue. And so I speak to all of them now. Since 9/11, the term brother has been bantered about quite a bit. But really, what does the term mean? I can assure you that it has nothing to do with being used in a social setting. It has everything to do with the standing shoulder to shoulder with the people at your side with the knowledge that they have your back, unquestionably. When you key up the microphone and say 10-1, you know the cavalry's on the way. When you fall through a floor and yell out Mayday, you know everyone's coming to get you. You know that, and there is no doubt. We are losing members in increasing numbers. There's been in the last 15 years an increasing number of deaths by suicide amongst the ranks. We have got to watch out for each other and realize that it's okay not to be okay. Take this brotherhood with you when you leave here. Keep it right here in your heart. Keep it close. We are all in this together. No matter what the patch on the left arm reads, we are all fighting the same battle, and we are much stronger doing it together and standing united. Brotherhood strong. Please assist us by honoring these first responders for their continued response because of their decision to serve. They make the community safer each year. Thank you, each and every one of you, for your choice to serve. A round of applause, please.
We take time each year to remember the fallen of the previous year and all those that have made the ultimate sacrifice through the years. To assist us in doing that today from the Chicago Fire Department, our firefighter EMT Corey Hojak Jr., who is assigned to Truck Company 35, and firefighter EMT Eric Berglund, who is assigned to Truck Company 31. These two men graduated together from the Fire Academy in late 2021. We are grateful to these first responders for being here today. There were 182 police officers killed in the line of duty in 2021, specifically here in Illinois. Police officer Gary Hibbs, Chicago Heights Police Department. End of watch, Friday, March 12th, 2021. Senior Master Trooper Todd Handerkin, Illinois State Police. End of watch, March 25th, 2021. Lieutenant James Kuski Jr., Hometown Police Department. End of watch, Saturday, April 3rd, 2021. Police Officer Christian Oberheim, Champaign Police Department. End of watch, Wednesday, May 19th, 2021. Police Officer Brian Pierce Jr., Brooklyn Police Department. End of watch, Wednesday, August 4th, 2021. At this time, I would like to invite our guest, Ms. Elizabeth French, to ring the bell in honor of her daughter, Elizabeth. Escorting Ms. French are Chicago Police Department Honor Guard members, Officer Karen Flynn and Officer Jordan Casey. Police Officer Ella Grace French, Chicago Police Department. End of watch, Saturday, August 7th, 2021. Ms. French, in an article last year, you were quoted as saying, "Ella was a force of nature. Everything she did, she put her heart into it. She died living her passion." Ms. French, we all thank you for being here today and honoring the legacy of your daughter, Ella Grace, and the others that made the ultimate sacrifice. They will never be forgotten. Police Officer Tyler Timmons, Pontoon Beach Police Department. End of watch, Tuesday, October 26, 2021. Deputy Sheriff Sean Riley, Wayne County Sheriff's Office. End of watch Wednesday, December 29th, 2021. Sergeant Marlene Rittemack, Bradley Police Department. End of watch Thursday, December 30th, 2021. There were 135 firefighters killed in the line of duty in 2021, specifically here in Illinois. Firefighter Mehdi Morad, Wabash Fire Protection District. Last alarm, June 27th, 2021. Firefighter Michael Pickering, Chicago Fire Department. Last alarm, October 8th, 2021. Firefighter Scott Williams, Argonne National Laboratory Fire Department. Last alarm, November 21st, 2021. Lieutenant Garrett Ramos, Sterling Fire Department. Last alarm, December 4th, 2021. Firefighter Marshawn Plummer, Chicago Fire Department. Last alarm, December 21st, 2021. And all those that have made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty on this day, September 11th. I would ask Chief Nord to return to the podium for closing remarks.
The men and women of today's fire service are confronted with a more dangerous work environment than ever before. We are continually forced to change our strategies and tactics to accomplish our tasks. Our methods may change, but our goals remain the same as they were in the past: to save lives, protect property, sometimes at a terrible cost. This is what we do. This is our chosen profession. This is the tradition of the firefighter. The fire service of today is ever-changing, but is steeped in tradition, 200 years old. One such tradition is the sound of the bell. In the past, as firefighters began their tour of duty, it was the bell that signaled the beginning of the day's shift. Throughout the day and night, each alarm was sounded by a bell, which summoned these brave souls to fight fires and to place their lives in jeopardy for the good of their fellow man. And when the fire was out, and the alarm had come to an end, it was the bell that signaled to all that the completion of the call. When a firefighter had died in the line of duty, paying the supreme sacrifice, it was the mournful toll of the bell that soundly announced the brother's passing. We utilize these symbols, which reflect honor and respect, on those who have given so much and have served so well. To symbolize the devotion that these brave souls had for their duty, a special ring of 3 rings twice, followed by 5 rings, represents the end of our brothers' duties, and they have returned to quarters. And so, to those who have selflessly given their lives for the good of their fellow man, their task completed, their duties well done, to our brothers, their last alarm, they are going home. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our ceremony for today. Once again, on behalf of all those involved, thank you for being here. Outstanding show of support today. Chief McCarthy, outstanding job. To the Riverside and LaGrange Park Fire Departments, thank you for your efforts in raising the flag outside. And I'll turn this over to the outstanding musical abilities of the police and fire pipe and drums.